And when they had sung a hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. Then said Jesus unto them, all of you shall be made to stumble because of me this night. As it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered abroad. But after that, I am risen again. I will go before you into Galilee. Peter answered and said to him, though all men should be made to stumble because of you, yet I will never be made to stumble. Jesus said to him, truly I say unto you, that this night, before the rooster crows, you shall deny me 3 times. Peter said to him, though I should die with you, yet I will not deny you. Likewise said all of the disciples. Then came Jesus with them unto a place called Gethsemane, and said to the disciples, you sit here while I go and pray over there. Peter said to him, and he took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. And then he said unto them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. You wait here and watch with me. And he went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will. And he came to the disciples and found them asleep, and said unto Peter, what? Could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray, that you do not enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. And he went again the second time and prayed, saying, O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, thy will be done. And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them, and went away again, and prayed the 3rd time, saying the same words. And then he came to the disciples, and said to them, sleep on now, and take your rest. Look, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, and let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that does betray me. And while he yet spoke, look, Judas, one of the 12, came with him, with great crowds, with swords and clubs, from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, whoever I shall kiss, the same is he. Hold him fast, seize him. And right away he came to Jesus and said, Hail, Master, and kissed him. And Jesus said unto him, Friend, from where have you come? Then they came and laid hands on Jesus and took him. And behold, one of them, which was with Jesus, stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his ear. Then said Jesus unto him, Put up again your sword into its place, for all those that take the sword shall perish by the sword. Do not think that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels. But how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled, that it must be this way? In that same hour said Jesus to the crowds, have you come out as against a thief with swords and clubs to take me? I sat daily with you, teaching in the temple, and you laid no hold on me. But all this was done that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled. And they that laid hold on Jesus led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. And Peter followed him afar off unto the high priest's palace, and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. Now the chief priests and the elders and all the council sought false witness against Jesus, for to put him to death. But they found none, yea, though many false witnesses rose, yet they found none. At the last came 2 false witnesses, and they said, this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said to him, do you answer nothing? What it is, these testify against you. But Jesus held his peace. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I command you by the living God that you tell us whether you are the Christ, the Son of God. And Jesus said to him, you have said. Nevertheless, I say unto you that after this you shall see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest ripped his clothes, saying, he has spoken blasphemy. What further need do we have of witnesses? Behold, now you've heard his blasphemy. What do you think? And they answered and said, he is guilty of death. And they did spit in his face and buffeted him. And others struck him with the palms of their hands, saying, prophesy unto us, you Christ. Who is he that struck you? Now Peter sat outside in the palace, and the little girl came to him, saying, you also were with Jesus of Galilee. But he denied before them all, saying, I know not what you say. And when he had gone out into the porch, another little girl saw him, and said to them that were there, this fellow was also with Jesus of Nazareth. And again he denied it with an oath, I do not know the man. And after a while came to him they that stood by, and said to Peter, surely you are one of them, for your speech betrays you. And then he began to curse and to swear, saying, I know not the man. And immediately the rooster crowed. And Peter remembered the word of Jesus, which said unto him, before the rooster crows, you shall deny me 3 times. And he went out and wept bitterly. When the morning had come, all the chief priests and the elders of the people took counsel against Jesus to put him to death. And when they had bound him, they led him away to deliver him to Pontius Pilate, the governor. Then Judas, which had betrayed him, when he saw that he had been condemned, repented himself, and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders, saying, I have sinned in that I have betrayed the innocent blood. And they said, what is that to us? You see to that. And he cast down the pieces of silver into the temple. And he left, and he went out, and he hung himself. And the chief priests took the silver pieces and said, it's not lawful for us to put them into the treasury, for they are the price of blood. And they took counsel and bought with them the potter's field to bury strangers in. Wherefore that field is called the field of blood unto this day. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, they took 30 pieces of silver, the price of him that was valued, whom the children of Israel did value. And they gave them for the potter's field, as the Lord had appointed me. And Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, are you the King of the Jews? And Jesus said unto him, thou sayest? And when he was accused of the chief priests and the elders, he answered nothing. Then said Pilate unto him, do not hear how many things they testify against you. And he answered him never a word, insomuch that the governor was greatly amazed. Now at that feast the governor desired to release to the people a prisoner, whom they asked. And there had been a notable prisoner called Barabbas. Therefore when they were gathered together, Pilate said to them, who do you desire that I release unto you, Barabbas or Jesus, which is called Christ? For he knew that because of envy they had delivered him unto them. And when he had sat down in the judgment seat, his wife went unto him, saying, you have nothing to do with that just man, for I've suffered many things this day in a dream because of him. But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowds that they should ask Barabbas and destroy Jesus. And the governor answered and said to them, which one of the two will ye that I release unto you? And they said, Barabbas. And Pilate said to them, what shall I do then with Jesus, which is called Christ? And they all said unto him, let him be crucified. And when Pilate saw, the governor said, why? What evil has he done? But they cried out the more, saying, let him be crucified. And when Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but that rather a riot was made, he took water and washed his hands before the crowds, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. You see to it. Then answered all the people and said, his blood be on us and on our children. Then he released Barabbas unto them. And when he had beaten Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the common hall and gathered unto him the whole band of soldiers. And they stripped him and put on him a scarlet robe. And when they had made a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head, and a reed in his right hand, and they bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! And they spit upon him, and they took the reed, and they struck him in the head. And after that they had mocked him, they took the robe off of him, and put his own clothing on him, and led him away to crucify him. And as they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name, and him they compelled to carry his cross. And when they had come to the place called Golgotha, which is to say, a place of a skull, they gave him vinegar to drink, mixed with gall. And when he had tasted of it, he would not drink. And they crucified him, and divided his clothing, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet. They divided my clothing among them, and upon my vesture they did cast lots. And sitting down, they watched him there. And they set over his head his accusation written, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." Then were there two thieves crucified with him, one on the right hand and the other on the left. And those that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads and saying, "You that destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross." Likewise, also the chief priests, mocking him with the scribes and the elders, said, "He saved others. He saved others. Himself he cannot save. If he is the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him." He trusted in God. Let him deliver him now, if he will have him. For he said, "I am the Son of God." The thieves also, which were crucified with him, cast the same in his teeth. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," which is to say, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Some of them that stood there, when they heard that, said, "This man is calling for Elijah." And right away one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with vinegar and put it on a reed and gave him to drink. The rest said, "Leave him alone. Let's see whether Elijah will come and save him." Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, gave up his spirit. And behold, the curtain of the temple was torn in two, from the top to the bottom. And the earth did quake, and the rocks split,